Myanmar's escalating conflict, resistance gains, Junta's election gamble, and the latest August 2025 developments. Myanmar stands at a decisive moment in 2025. 4 years after the military coup of February 1, 2021, the country is engulfed in the bloodiest conflict since independence. The military junta, led by Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, has failed to consolidate its rule, while resistance groups ranging from ethnic armed organizations, EAOs, to local People's Defense Forces, PDFs, control large swathes of territory. The conflict has reshaped Myanmar into a fractured landscape of competing authorities. Resistance forces, supported politically by the National Unity Government (NUG), have advanced into once secure junta strongholds. Ethnic armies such as the Arakan Army (AA), Kachin Independence Army (KIA), and Karen National Union (KNU) wield significant power in their regions, while PDFs dominate the central dry zone. Between August 14 and 16, 2025, a series of dramatic developments illustrated the fragility of junta control, the expanding resistance, and the worsening humanitarian disaster. From mass civilian displacement in Sagaing to UN revelations of torture and detention, the war has entered a new and dangerous phase. 1. The battlefield in 2025, fragmentation of the state. By mid-2025, Myanmar was effectively divided. Junta control around 21% of territory, mainly urban centers and select military garrisons. Resistance control approximately 42%, with PDFs and EAOs establishing local administrations. Contested areas, the remainder, where battles rage and civilians are displaced in waves. The Arakan Army stands as the most successful force, now governing 14 of 17 townships in Rakhine State. Its parallel administration collects taxes, enforces law, and delivers services. The KIA entrenches itself in northern Kachin and Shan, while Karen groups dominate large parts of Karen and Mon states. The junta has been forced onto the defensive. Its overstretched forces depend heavily on airstrikes, artillery, and scorched earth tactics, which devastate villages but fail to secure lasting control. 2. Humanitarian collapse. The conflict has triggered one of Southeast Asia's gravest humanitarian crises. Displacement. Millions uprooted, with tens of thousands crossing into India, Thailand, and Bangladesh. Healthcare collapse, hospitals bombed, doctors arrested, clinics looted. Food insecurity, vast tracts of farmland abandoned, prices soaring in conflict zones. Systematic repression, arbitrary arrests, torture, and executions are widespread. On August 16, the UN-backed Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar (IIMM) issued a shocking report documenting systematic torture in junta-run prisons. Victims described electric shocks, beatings, waterboarding, sexual violence, and mock executions. Some children, as young as 2, were detained in place of their parents. The report drew on over 300 pieces of evidence, including witness testimony and forensic records. 3. The August 14-16 flashpoints. August 14, displacement in Sagaing and ambush in Mon State. Sagaing naval convoy crisis. A massive junta naval convoy of 33 vessels transporting jade from Hakamti traveled through Pangbin township in Sagaing region. To ward off possible resistance ambushes, junta forces unleashed artillery fire on riverside villages. PDFs refrained from direct engagement, but the indiscriminate shelling forced more than 10 Zero villagers from 15 communities, including Seta and Thayang, to flee into the forests. These families now endure harsh monsoon rains without food, clean water, or medical aid. Mon State resistance strike. In Mon State's Yebu Township, the Mon State Revolutionary Force, MSRF, and allied PDFs ambushed a junta column. The clash killed 14 junta soldiers, highlighting the growing strength of resistance operations in the country's south, where Karen forces also hold sway. August 15. Battles in Kachin State. Offensives in Bhamo and Hapakant. The junta escalated operations against the Kachin Independence Army, KIA, launching coordinated offensives in Bhamo and Hapakant. Fighting raged for hours as junta troops attempted to reclaim control of supply routes and jade-rich areas. Civilian casualties remain unconfirmed, but reports suggest displacement has begun in surrounding villages. Civil society appeals to ASEAN. On the same day, Myanmar civil society groups urged ASEAN to abandon recognition of the junta and instead support the NUG and ethnic resistance. They called for an end to appeasement diplomacy, warning that the junta's planned December elections would entrench dictatorship, not democracy. August 16. Untorture findings, ASEAN peace mission and election push. Systematic torture confirmed. The UN's IIMM report released on August 16 confirmed what many survivors had long testified. Torture is not random but systematic, widespread, and institutionalized in Myanmar's military prisons. Practices include electric shocks, forced stress positions, beatings, and sexual assaults. Some detainees died from their injuries, while others were never seen again. ASEAN-led peace delegation announced. In Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia's foreign ministry announced that Malaysia, Bangladesh, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Thailand would form a joint peace delegation to Myanmar. The mission aims to explore dialogue with both sides and deliver humanitarian aid, particularly for the Rohingya population. While hailed as a step forward, skepticism remains about whether the junta will allow genuine access. Junta's election preparations. State media confirmed that the junta had formed a new election commission chaired by Min Aung Hlaing himself. Following the lifting of the 4-year emergency on July 31, polls are scheduled for December 2025. The military frames the election as a step towards stability, but opposition groups, including the NUG and major EAOs, have pledged to boycott or obstruct them. The Arakan Army declared it would prevent elections in its territories, making polling in most of Rakhine impossible. 4. The election gamble. The junta's election strategy is widely viewed as a desperate attempt to secure legitimacy, yet the obstacles are overwhelming. Resistance control. Nearly half the country is under opposition administration, making voter registration impossible. Security crisis. PDFs and EAOs have vowed to disrupt polling stations. Legitimacy deficit. Major ethnic armies and the NUG reject the process outright. International skepticism. Western governments label the election a sham, while ASEAN remains divided. Even if voting occurs, results will likely be confined to junta-controlled zones, further deepening Myanmar's fragmentation rather than healing it. 5. International responses. United Nations, condemnation of torture and calls for accountability mechanisms such as the International Criminal Court. Western nations, expanded sanctions on military leaders and conglomerates. China, continued balancing act, offering military supplies while calling for stability. India, struggles with refugee inflows in Mizoram and security challenges on its border. ASEAN, the August 16 peace mission announcement marks a rare proactive step, though doubts linger about its effectiveness. 6. Myanmar's future. Fragmentation or federalism. The trajectory of the war suggests two possible futures. 1. Prolonged fragmentation. Myanmar remains divided into semi-autonomous zones, controlled by various forces, with no national authority. 2. Federal transformation. If resistance groups consolidate under the NUG's Federal Democracy Charter, a new political order could eventually emerge. For now, the junta shows no willingness to negotiate meaningfully. Resistance groups, emboldened by battlefield successes, refuse compromise that preserves military dominance. Civilians remain trapped in the middle, facing starvation, displacement, and violence. The developments between August 14 and 16, 2025, capture the essence of Myanmar's crisis. Mass displacement in Sagaing from junta convoy shelling, bold resistance offensives in Mon and Kachin, UN confirmation of systematic torture, ASEAN's tentative step toward mediation. Junta's insistence on elections viewed as illegitimate by most. As December's polls approach, Myanmar faces an uncertain and perilous future. The junta clings to power through violence and political theatre. Resistance groups expand their reach but lack unity at the national level. International actors, divided and cautious, struggle to respond effectively. For Myanmar's people, the daily reality is displacement, hunger, and fear. Their struggle against dictatorship, for survival, and for democracy defines the nation's unfinished journey.